No, you can't control me, baby. You need a real one in your life. Them bitches ain't gonna give it to you, right? I'd rather be your B-I-T-C-H.
Hi, I'm Zaria.
And I'm Maika.
And this is
Calming the Chaos.
Make sure you guys go follow our Instagram and TikTok at calmingthechaos_22. Again, that is calmingthechaos_22.
Be sure to also go follow our Facebook page. It's Calming the Chaos 22. So no underscore. Alright, guys. So this episode is going to be a very heavy one. And this is the trigger warning. So if you can't handle hearing people talk about rape, domestic violence, abuse, and those sorts of things, I understand if you would like to leave, but still be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe.
I would like to introduce our special guest, my best friend, our very close friend, mine and Maika's, Alana.
Hello, I'm Alana.
You want to say a bit about yourself?
Sure. I am 21. I'm currently a student getting my esthetician license.
Ooh.
I have a boyfriend that I'm moving in with, and I have a little pit bull.
Oh.
I say little, but he's 100 pounds. But yeah, it's a
They
little
always
bit about me.
They always seem little, but they get big so quickly.
Oh yeah, he's my baby.
Alright, so basically we're just going to ask you some questions about your past experiences, and I'm also going to shed light on different experiences that I've had, and Zara is going to give her input on different topics.
So, my first question is, when did you realize that you were in an abusive relationship, per se?
Honestly, not until I was about to leave. The very first abusive relationship I was in high school, and I honestly didn't really know any better. I didn't tell anybody. I didn't really know what to say, and it wasn't really educated to me. It was so normalized in movies and TV shows. You see that type of stuff, and you see people stay, and you always see on social media people talking about, oh, you stay through the ups and the downs, and him always apologizing and being so sweet afterwards made me think that it was okay and he still loved me and this is just what love was. We would get through it. He would get better. And this happened to me in 2 other relationships as well. One right when I was in the midst of dropping out of college, and then another one that I just recently, 5 or 6 months ago, got out of. And probably the hardest one was this last one because I was in it on and off for a good 2 years. And everyone kept telling me to leave him, that I was, being manipulated, I was being lied to, I was being abused, and I didn't believe it. I didn't believe it at all. He would steal from me, he would lie to me, he would gaslight me, manipulate me, make me have sex with him, put his hands on me, threaten to literally kill and set loose my emotional support dog, all types of BS.
Ways to break you down.
Exactly. On top of that, over and over and over and over and over again, he would cry and apologize and tell me he loves me and that he didn't mean it and that he was just angry and it was just anger taking over. It just normalized it for me. I just thought that that was okay. He really did love me. It would get better. And I was so tired, emotionally drained. I was high all the time. I was smoking about an ounce a day. And that's weed, guys. Not
anything
crazy.
heavy.
Not anything crazy. I was so sleep deprived because constantly he would wake me up with the loud TV blasting music. I would get about 3 to 4 hours of sleep, and I was working either my one job at the time where I was working 16, 18-hour shifts every single day, or I was working 2 jobs at a time. So on top of that, I was only getting 3 to 4 hours of sleep and working so much, I was just drained. So whenever anybody would tell me anything, I wasn't hearing anything. I honestly didn't really put 2 and 2 together until I started really fighting for myself.
Mm-hmm.
Decided I want to find myself. I want to do better for myself. And at first, I thought that he could find himself too, so I tried. I tried with him, and it got to the point where I just couldn't take it anymore. Like, I was waking up. I finally understood what people was telling me.
Let's go back to your first time in high school. What was your experience like with that?
So I was on and off with him for a good 3 years. He was my first love.
It's always the it's always the first love. Like, they are able to get a hold of you so well.
I was so young, dumb, naive. I thought that the person you lost your virginity to was your first love. I thought that the person you lost your virginity to was the person you stayed with forever. You know what I mean? So at this point, I'm a virgin and I'm already planning, we're going to get married. I'm going to lose my virginity to him. We're going to have children. You know what I mean? Like, I'm stuck in that, like, days.
Yeah.
And I'm so naive at this point. Like, I didn't think that he could do any wrong. So when he would get mad, I've already seen that before. I have a dad. I have, like, I've have males in my life. So I've seen people get angry. I've seen people get mad. I've seen couples fight. I've seen people yell at each other. So that all was normal to me. And at first, when he would put his hands on me, it wasn't hitting me. It was pushing me up against the wall. And I just thought, like, his anger's getting to us. His anger's getting to him. And that was just him easing into it. And then finally, he hit me. He slapped me across the face, and that's how that started. And one day, we were staying after school, and a teacher saw. And it was reported. Nothing was done. He wasn't in trouble. The principal sat down and talked to us, and I told him that that wasn't true. Obviously, the cameras are not working because I'm in a shitty school. Zarya knows about it.
Yeah.
And so they don't know who to believe. I'm like, that's a lie. Like, that didn't happen, because I didn't want him to get in trouble. Again, I love him. So going further into it, we're obviously sexually experimenting with each other, like just touching on each other, you know what I mean? Like, stuff like that. And I wasn't ready for sex, so I was okay with that happening. And one day he decided that that was not enough for him. And do you want to tell the whole story?
It's
up to you.
Yeah, this is your story. You tell it how you want.
Okay, so this is when we recently just got back together, and this is like my junior/senior, because I graduated early, part of high school. So it was December, and I want to say 16 at this point, and I was going over there to hang out with him, and weirdly, his family wasn't home. Like, his aunt and his uncle that he was living with, like, nobody was home. And I was like, oh, okay, maybe they'll be back soon. So we go to his room and we're watching a movie, and he starts touching on me. I'm like, no, like, I'm good. Like, I don't really want to. He's like, oh, I want to, da da da. Like, this is what I mean. You don't want to even do anything with me. And so I'm telling him, like, I'm not in the mood. Like, I don't want to be touched on. Like, the reason we broke up is because he cheated on me with somebody mad young. Like, we were 16 at the time, and he had sex with somebody who was like 11 or 12. So I was already like not really feeling it, and like in the midst of like realizing what the hell is going on, and I'm being played, but I'm still, in love, thinking this is my first love. This is who I'm gonna marry. I gotta deal with it. I gotta get over it. So eventually, he's pretty much getting what he wants. I give in. I'm like, okay, fine, whatever. Like, you can touch on me, but like, that's it. Like, just finger me. That's fine. And my pants are off, and eventually he puts his pants off, and he's touching on me. I'm like, yo, like, what are you doing? Like, I don't want to do anything. Like, I'm trying to get off the bed. He finally pushes me down, puts my legs up above my head, holds me down. I can't really breathe because my legs are over top of me, and he just takes what he wants. And I remember being so fucking scared. I left. I ran. I got dressed. I ran out of the house. I went to my car. Again, his family's not even there. His aunt's not there. His uncle's not there. Nobody's there. I ran to my car. I'm crying. I finally get back home. And my mom instantly is like, what's wrong? And I'm like, nothing, Mom. Like, we just got into a fight. I'm fine. I just want to go to bed. I remember going to the bathroom and my underwear are soaked with blood. My pants are soaked with blood. And I take my underwear off. I throw them in the bottom of the garbage. I wrap them in toilet paper, throw them in the bottom of the garbage, and didn't tell anybody for a few months. And finally, when I told somebody, they decided to tell their friends, who told their friends, who told their friends, and eventually became a rumor that I was trying to get my ex in trouble for raping me, which was not the case because I hadn't went to anybody and I didn't tell anybody. The only person that I told was somebody I thought was a good friend of mine.
Yeah, someone you thought you trusted.
So finally, when news broke and the rumor broke in school, I went to my vice principal and she called a meeting with me and she was like, hey, like, I hear this going on, da da da, I want to talk to you about it. So I finally talked to her about it and I'm like explaining to her what happened and she's listening. She's like, well, are you sure it was like that? I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, well, are you sure, like, you said no and he heard you? And I'm like, yes. Are you sure that you didn't, like, give the impression that you wanted him or you wanted to have sex? And I'm like, no. I told him no. I said it was okay to finger me, but, like, that's because that's all we did and I didn't want anything else and he knew that. And so I'm crying and I'm like, I don't want anything done. I don't want to talk to the police. I already have trauma with the police because of my dad. I don't want to talk to the police. I'm good. They don't believe me anyway. You don't believe me. Nobody fucking believes me. I don't care. I'm good. So he starts talking about me, talking to other people and talking shit about me, pretty much saying like, oh, like, we did have sex, but she was loose. Oh, we did have sex, but it wasn't even all that. She don't even know how to suck dick, this, that, and the third. And I'm like, bro, like, can you leave me the fuck alone? Like, just leave me alone. And at that point, I finally broke up with him, and I didn't really realize what it was. I thought that's just how I lost my virginity. So when I'm thinking about it and talking to these people, like, I'm not really realizing what even happened to me. And finally, one day when I'm talking to somebody about it, they were like, Alana, like, you realize, like, he raped you, right? Like, what do you mean? And they were like, he raped you. And at that point, it clicked in my head, like, oh my God, I didn't think that being in a relationship that could happen. I didn't know that.
Yeah, because just because you're in a relationship doesn't mean you have to have sex with that person.
But again, I'm 16. Nobody taught me that.
Right. Yeah.
I feel like it's also the fault of the school system. I feel like they failed to educate people about rape and about that type of situation that can happen because it could happen at any age. It doesn't matter, what grade you're in. I feel like this is something that should be talked about in the school system. That way, if people are going through these things, they understand what's happening to them.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like sex in general is not talked about enough. Safety, protection, birth control,
Sexuality,
being gay, being pan, being transgender,
and just what that means.
your body parts in general, like the actual names. You have no idea how many people don't even know what you call your genitals.
Yeah.
I didn't know what clitoris was until, like, I heard it in, like, an Eminem song. And that's how I found out
I thought
what clitoris was.
that hitting it from the back was anal.
Me too! Bro, so did I!
Oh my
Not
God.
until college did I know. Because somebody in middle school had told me that hitting it from the back meant anal. So that's what I thought through middle school and high school.
Oh my Lord.
Like, the lack of education and the things that you're taught in school and the, you know what I mean? Like, the misinterpretations and shit is crazy.
So I kind of want to also tell my story. I was also very young, very dumb, very naive. And I was 11 and he was 13. And, like, we both aged up. So I was 12 and then he was 14. Either way, he was 2 years older than me. And, you know, he was the first guy to ever really like approach me and ask me out. And I was like, okay, you know, like, why not? Like, I know you and we should date. Over time, our relationship was only the span of a couple months. I feel like so much happened within those couple months that everything is kind of in blocks. Like, I only remember certain bits and pieces. I remember he wanted sex, but I wasn't ready to give him sex. I was only 11. And I was always taught, you know, not to give a guy my coochie. I was always taught, you know, don't let any guy put their hands on you. So, yes, I was taught not to let anyone touch me, but nobody really taught me not to let a guy manipulate me into touching them. And I was mostly at my friend's house when this happened. And I feel like those friends really didn't care about me at the time, because they really let this happen. We were dating and we were off and on. We kept breaking up because he wanted sex. I didn't want to have sex. So I basically did everything else except for penetrative sex, just to satisfy him and then just get it, you know, out the way. And whenever I was at my friend's house and I would spend the night, he would come through the window and like sneak in, and then he would sleep next to me. But he would wake me up in the middle of the night to give him oral. Almost every single time I was at my friend's house, and I was at my friend's house almost every night that summer. So every single time, like he would wake me up in the middle of the night and he wouldn't let me go back to sleep unless I did it. Or he would be like, "But I thought you loved me." I'm 11. My parents aren't together. I don't really know what love is or what it looks like. So it's like, how was I supposed to know what that looked like? So I thought, and he was my first kiss, my first love, my first everything. And basically, he would also break up with me so that he could fuck one of my friends. And then they would stop messing around and then he would ask me out again. Like I never asked him out. It was always he would ask me out, then he would break up with me, make me feel like I'm not good enough for him because I won't give him sex. And then he would beg and plead for me to take him back, and because I quote unquote loved him, I always took him back. And I didn't really know any better. And it wasn't until the summer before my senior year of high school that I took a sex ed class. It wasn't even through the school, it was through a summer program called Upward Bound. I took a sex ed class through that program, and that's when they were describing like different scenarios and different types of rape that there are. And they mentioned using the fact that you love someone as a way to manipulate you into doing something sexual counts as rape. It may not be direct penetrative sex, but it's still being forced to do something sexual that I didn't want to do in the first place. But I was basically told, like, I thought you loved me, or I thought you cared about me, or, you know, all of that. So it took me a long time to even realize that that was rape. Like it happened when I was 11. I didn't figure it out until I was like 16. And yeah. And even till this day, like I don't really talk about it. I didn't tell anybody. My friends knew what was going on and they didn't do anything about it. They didn't do anything to stop it. And then every time we would get back together, I would find out that he fucked another one of my friends. And then there was one time I was at my friend's house and she like came on to him and he was like, "Oh, I've never had two girls suck my dick at the same time," trying to get me and her to do it at the same time. And he kept just whispering to me like, "But I love you, like she doesn't matter." Like trying to make it seem like it's okay to invite her to do this with me, and I'm like, it's not something I wanted to do. So I ended up just leaving, but she like lived far. So I ended up walking like a half an hour home by myself. And then they had sex after I left. So he put me through a lot of psychological. I had a really hard time trusting men after that. So, but my boyfriend after that, we were together for 5 years. He taught me how to love. He taught me what a real man well, I say real man, but we were like teenagers. But he taught me what love should feel like.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm just
Well,
grateful to
each
him that I have
relationship
that.
was kind of like a lesson. They
Yeah.
teach you something different.
Every
Mhm.
time.
Yeah. But why do you guys think that people stay so long after abuse or after rape? Or, like, why can't they, like, get the shackles off and get the courage to leave the person that's abusing them?
For me, I think it was fear of being alone.
For me, I was beaten down so bad to the ground that I honestly felt that that's what I deserved and that I wasn't going to get any better.
Mhm.
I really thought that this man loved me and that is what love is. And I just need to suck it up and we're going to get better together. Like you're always taught, stay no matter what, stay no matter what. But there should be a point in time where people are taught, like, you shouldn't be cheated on. You shouldn't be forced or coerced into having sex. You shouldn't be giving away all of your money and letting this man use you for everything that you have. And just because you guys are together, that's love because it's your guys' now. People really need to start educating people on this stuff.
Mhm. That's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to spread the word that men ain't shit. No, well,
Well, not to mention, like, back in the day, our grandparents and, like, their parents or whatever, like, they stuck it out no matter what. Like,
yeah,
Exactly.
that's like it's an
Through
old school
cheating.
way.
through cheating, through them finding out that they're pedophiles and having sex with their children and their great grandchildren and
And they were
stuff like
told to
that.
just suck it up and
Like, how many times have you been told, oh, so and so's coming over, change?
yeah.
They know that they're pedophiles. They know that they're looking at you in this sexual way, and it's so normalized because it's in your family. It's okay.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That's your brother, that's your cousin, that's your uncle, that's your dad, that's your grandpa. It's fine.
but it's not.
Yeah.
It's not okay.
It's not okay. But to run it back and to touch on what you guys talked on earlier, how do you think your sexual abuse affected your sex life after?
Well, I know for me, even till this day, I can't give blowjobs. Like that was my main source of rape, and that was my main type of rape. So it's hard for me to perform oral on somebody that I can't really that I don't really know that well. Like I literally made a guy wait for like 8 months before even doing it because I needed to make sure that he wouldn't hurt me or use it as an abuse of power or anything like that. So I know for me that's kind of how it affected me mostly. But even when being sexual with someone, I feel
Okay.
ashamed because I feel like guys have a motive behind their sexual acts. And it's like I don't really know who I can trust, and I had a lot of trust issues after the fact.
And it's sad because most men do. Most men do have ulterior motives. For me, it was right when I was about to graduate high school, 6 months before I graduated. So I made a whole 180. I started skipping school. I started acting out. I started fighting. I started getting in school suspension. I started getting written up. My grades started dropping. I honestly acted out.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have sex and did not want to be touched for a good 6 months. And then I went to college and I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna have the college experience. And I got hypersexual as a motherfucker. My
Mm-hmm.
body count racked up. I took sex as if, like, I don't give a fuck about sex. Sex is nothing to me. So you know what? I'm gonna make fun of it. I'm gonna have fun with it, and I'm gonna use guys. Like, I'm gonna have sex. Like,
Mm-hmm.
this is for my benefit. I'm gonna fuck you. You're not fucking me. I'm fucking you.
Mm-hmm. To put yourself in control because there was
Exactly.
a point in time where you weren't
My
in
control was
control.
taken away that I felt like I needed to have control of it. And after that, I felt so ashamed and I didn't realize that I was also being used. Guys would, get me drunk or get me high or give me weed or give me alcohol or, make sure I'm set so I'm easy to fuck.
Mm-hmm.
And now, like, when I'm in relationships and even being sexually abused in relationships and not wanting to have sex, but still having sex anyways because that's my boyfriend. Now, to me, sex is triggering. Like, certain things happen to me or are done to me or I'm touched in a certain way and I'm triggered. I'm having flashbacks of that happening to me before. I start to feel like ashamed, or I get stuck in my head and certain thoughts start happening, and then I'm not really even aroused anymore, and I'm just having sex just to have sex because my partner wants to have sex. And it's actually kind of like, it's sad.
Yeah.
I don't like certain things I don't like done to me, and now because of being so hypersexual, I feel ashamed when I start to be more dominant, that I don't even want to be dominant. I don't like doing anything. I'm like a pillow princess now. Like, it's literally like I've had so many up and downs with my sex life. It's crazy. It's changed my sex life and affected my sex life so much that now I'm finally with a guy that I trust and can have, sex with and feel comfortable with. And I still get the flashbacks. No matter how comfortable I am, I still get the flashbacks. I still get the being ashamed or feeling disgusted or questioning, like, do I really want to have sex? You know what I mean? So it's honestly sad, and people don't understand the effects it still has, no matter if it was a year ago, 2 years ago, 10 years ago, 40 years ago. It does not matter.
It still affects you.
Exactly. You never truly forget it. Even for me, even though I have like parts of it where I'm missing chunks of memory, I still have those flashbacks, and it still
hurts.
Yes.
So, one thing that kind of helped me, I didn't start really seeing a therapist until halfway through college or a little bit before halfway. And one thing I heard was it takes about 7 years to lose all the cells on your body. So the way I thought of it was 7 years after my rape, I'll have a body he's never touched. And that's kind of how I got through it, where it's like, he's never touched me. Well, he did. In memory, it's still psychologically triggering, but physically, I can try to feel a little bit safer in my own skin, knowing that I have a body that he has not touched because, the 7 years. So that kind of helped me. I don't know if it'll help anybody else, but I feel like it's a good way to think of getting through what people like us have been through.
Did you guys ever fall in love after your sexual abuse?
Well, yeah, like a couple months after I had met my boyfriend, and we were together for 5 years. We were high school sweethearts, and I honestly loved him. Of course, in the end, it was a little rough, but he really taught me what love should feel like and how I should be treated. And so I was grateful for that. In my adult life, I've only fallen in love once, and that didn't end so well either. And it seems like it's an ongoing cycle for me with relationships and trying to find, the one, quote unquote, because I just have this mindset that every guy is just after sex. Like, I literally tell every guy, like, I don't want to use sex as a way of getting to know each other because I feel like that's all guys want. Like, I want you to get to know me first before you get to know my body. And I feel like it's also because I don't want to be used. I feel like in the past, I did have my moment of hypersexuality, and I did have my moments where I was like, it's my body. I can do what I want with it, and I could do whoever I want with it.
Right.
And eventually, I just felt disgusted with myself. And because in the end, I ended up wanting something more, and they just wanted a one night stand. It was the sex that they wanted. And once they got it from me, they used me emotionally for weeks, even a month. But then once I gave them sex, they were out, ghosted, haven't heard from them in years. So.
Did you fall in love after like your sexual abuse? Like, do you think you ever found like true love after being so broken down and damaged like that?
So for me, afterwards and after I was hypersexual and had, my what, probably year, almost 2 years where I was very hypersexual, I was in and out of nothing but toxic and abusive relationships back to back to back.
Yep.
And now I am in a relationship with a man who truly loves me, who's actually healthy, who actually tries, and who honestly saved me. He has honestly helped me to grow as a person. I have found myself. I'm finally in therapy and doing well. I'm finally back in school getting my license. I finally have a successful job where I'm paid more than $20 an hour, where I make commission. I'm finally in a car that is registered, that is inspected, that is not broken down and sounds like a helicopter when I'm driving it. I'm finally doing good for myself. I'm finally successful. I'm finally able to stand on my own 2 feet and feel like I have somebody to lean back on. You know what I mean? I finally have a teammate.
Yeah.
And it is amazing to feel that. And that doesn't mean that I don't have flashbacks. And I'm not hard to deal with sometimes because I am still stuck in those mindsets sometimes. I'm still stuck feeling like, oh my God, he's going to leave. Oh my God, he's going to cheat. Oh my God, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I'm still stuck in the mindset where I feel certain ways that I shouldn't be feeling. And he helps. He deals with it. He does. He does really good.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't mean we don't fight. We do.
But
All
it's
relationships
healthy.
do. But after we come back to the situation, we communicate, and it's us against the situation. It's not us against each other. I'm not being gaslit when I find out I have a situation or I have a problem with something he's doing. You know what I mean? And I still have some of my toxic ways that I've learned that I'm trying so hard to get out of. I'm starting to find and build boundaries for myself. I'm figuring out who I am. And finally, I feel whole. But there is times where I'm still getting depressed, where I still am having mood swings, where I'm still feeling helpless and lonely, even though I know he's right there. Mental health is a motherfucker, okay?
Depression is a bitch, bro.
PTSD and going through trauma, it honestly, it can rearrange your parts of your brain.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It can shrink the levels of dopamine and serotonin you have, and people don't realize that. People don't realize how fucked up you can get afterwards.
Yeah.
It's sad. It really fucking is. But to answer your question, there is hope for you guys. Yes, we do fall the fucking low. We do find the people that we deserve, okay? Don't look for them. They'll come looking for you, okay? You will find them when you least expect it.
Well, speaking of that, because I know, like, we've had conversations about it before, how you didn't want to date a certain type of race because of it.
Yes, actually, you know what? Let's touch base on that. My boyfriend is white. The man, well, let's say boy, that first rapes me was white. And forever, since him, I could not be with a white man. I was too triggered. I was too triggered to be with a white man. I was too triggered to be around anybody my age. I was too triggered for it. And all I was with was black men. And that is where I experienced my two domestic violent relationships and where I was sexually abused more. And then afterwards, that's when I was getting out of the relationship with my 2-year on and off ex that I lived with. I finally found John, my boyfriend, my savior. And he is white. And I'm not gonna lie, when I first started talking to him, I was like, yeah, we gonna fuck. I'm definitely gonna fuck the shit out of him. But I don't know. I don't know about a relationship because, like I said, like I was triggered to be around white men. This is the one white man that I was not triggered around that I felt very comfortable with. And we communicated and we talked every day. We smoked every lunch break that I had and he had. And we just started falling for each other. We started communicating. We started talking to each other and opening up. And it was honestly amazing. So sometimes, it's works in mysterious ways. But even though, like, white men triggered me for the longest, I got through it.
Yeah.
So, do you want to touch on the other two domestic violence relationships that you were in?
Sure. I can go in order. So the first one would have been around the time that I was flunking and dropping out of college. So that would have been around the beginning of COVID. And love bombed. Let's just put it that way. In the beginning, he bought nice hotel rooms for us, bought me things, took me out to dinner, dates all the time. I met his son. We hung out. He ended up moving into a house, like a rent to own type of house, with a couple of his friends. And I was in college. I was staying at the dorms, and they were shutting down. While I was dating him, we found out that they were shutting down because of COVID. So I dropped out of school and I moved in with him. He offered to let me stay with him. And I wasn't really on that great of terms with my family at this point, so I didn't want to go back to them. So I stayed with him. He said I could stay for free. I was living with him, and oh my fucking God. Almost immediately, it was a whole 180 switch. He was yelling at me. I was all types of bitches, cunts, fat, stupid, all types of derogatory names that you can think of, I was called. I was woken up out my sleep to get yelled at, to get cursed at, to get spit at. I would be choked out. I would be slammed into the bed, thrown down. All this in front of his son that I would take care of. In the midst of all this, I had COVID the entire time. So not only was I throwing up, couldn't hold down food or water, I was cooking for him, I was cleaning, I was buying the groceries, and I was not working. I was taking care of his son, feeding his son, bathing his son, taking care of him, making sure he was good. You want to know what he was doing? He quit his job and started just playing video games and selling weed. But he would smoke almost all of his product.
Don't get high on your own supply, people.
So finally, I was getting so sick of it. I finally started being better. I finally got better from COVID, I finally started feeling better after having COVID. I started feeling stronger, and I started wanting to do stuff because I was very isolated. I was not allowed to go anywhere, not my family's house, not my friends, not to work, anything. So I finally told him, I was like, I'm going to go back to work. He was like, okay, whatever, we need money. I was like, okay. So I started working back at McDonald's, and in the midst, I would once in a while hang out with friends. And I was like, you know what? I don't fucking want to be in this relationship anymore. I can't do it. So I was actually staying the night at Zaria's. I was staying the night at Zaria's. It was me, her girlfriend Brittany, and wasn't Selena there?
Yeah, Selena was
my
there.
old best friend Selena.
It's crazy.
No, deadass. And so I broke up with him while I'm there. And I'm like, fuck you, I can't do this anymore. Like, he would literally take my car in the middle of the night while I was sleeping and go fuck people. Like, literally take my car in the middle of the night and go fuck other bitches. Just drive my car anywhere and everywhere. Just do whatever the fuck he wanted. Constantly waking everybody up in the house because he was yelling at me all the time. Always mad at me. I couldn't do anything right. Like, I was just living in constant fear, constant depression. And I was sick of it. So I messaged him like, yo, like, I'm done. I can't do this. He's like, fuck you, you fucking bitch. I never liked you. You're not even good at sucking dick. You know, the same old, like every man says. Even though I'm making that in 2 seconds. But it's okay. It's okay. That's not the point. So I'm like, fuck you. He texts me a picture of him throwing my shit out the window and says that he's throwing my shit out the window and all my shit's gonna be at the curb for the crackheads to take. So
the crackheads.
I call my dad and I'm like, yo, dad, this piece of shit is throwing my shit out on the curb. This is the address. Come fucking help me get my shit. Zarya's like, yo, bitch, I'ma help you. I'm like, alright. So me and Selena hop in my whip. Zarya and Brittany hop in her whip. My dad meeting us in his whip, okay? And we all pull up there and we get my shit. When we get there, this motherfucker's nowhere to be motherfucking found. So I still have my keys. So I get up there, I get most of my shit. I still didn't get everything. Rest in peace to all my missing property. Still didn't get everything. But as we get the last of the shit in and about to fucking leave, doesn't this motherfucker pull up, start cussing me out, start cussing at my dad, telling my dad how I'm a hoe and I'm a whore and I just open my legs to anybody and everybody, and just straight disrespecting me in front of my dad. And my dad not trying to go back to jail and shit, you know what I mean? Like, my dad's not trying to get arrested today. And he's not trying to catch a murder charge. So my dad's telling me, like, yo, hop in the fucking whip, like, get the fuck out of here. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I look over, and Zarya's ass is standing in front of him, like, cussing him out, like, don't fucking talk about my best friend like that. Who the fuck do you think you are?
Damn,
This
Zarya
motherfucker pulls out a gun.
Oh
This
my.
motherfucker pulls out a gun. He's pointing at Zarya, pointing at me, pointing all around, talking about I'ma shoot every motherfucker in this bitch. Fuck you think I am? And talking all that shit. Zarya's like, I don't give a fuck. Shoot me, bitch. Shoot me, bitch. I don't give a fuck. Finally, I hop in my whip, and my dad's like, get the fuck out of here. There's a gun. So I finally get my whip. My dad's pushing me in my car. I'm like, fuck it, I'm going. Zarya's still there, fucking in front of him as he's waving the gun still. And I'm like, oh my God, Zarya. Like, I'm freaking the fuck out. All of a sudden, like, we're all back at fucking my parents' house, right? We all went to my parents' house.
Yeah, I think we had to drive.
Yeah, we all went to my parents' house to drop off my shit, and I'm like, yo, what the fuck? And then all of a sudden, as I'm driving, I get mad. My phone's blowing up. He's calling me. His dad's calling me. His baby mom's calling me. His friends are calling me. His family's calling me off multiple profiles and shit, talking about oh, you stole my son's shit. You stole my son's shit. I didn't steal your son's shit. I wouldn't even fit my big toe in that shit. Like, why would I want to steal your son's shit? I don't want anything to do with that shit. And then his dad's texting me, like, give him his key back. Bitch, I bought this key. I made this copy. I'm throwing it in the motherfucking river. Fuck you. The fuck? Like, I'm gonna go back to where he was just trying to threaten me with a gun to deliver a key? Bitch, are you fucking dumb? And then he told me, the last message I got, he told me he got a bounty on my head, and the next time any of his friends, any of his gang, or any of his family members see me, there's a bounty on my head, I'm gonna die. So that's that relationship.
Damn.
Now, fast forward to a few months after that.
Hold the fuck up. I need to decompress from all this shit. Zara, you a real one, bitch.
She been by my side for years, since high school. So since my very first abusive relationship and shit. Zarya been here.
Damn.
Yeah, that's my bitch.
Damn. You a real ride or die, huh?
She didn't give no fucks. And this is around the time where she didn't give a fuck about her life and she wanted to die anyway. So she got caught.
I really
Shoot me, bitch.
She's like, please take me out my misery. Please take me out my misery.
Well, that's how you know he's pussy. Like, he's fucking 6 foot something and I'm 5'1", and he has a gun and didn't do shit. You're pussy.
Plus, he's a big dude. He's not a skinny dude.
He could have
like
just pushed me down to the ground.
He could have sat on you.
Yeah, he didn't do shit.
Alright.
I'm weak. Okay, fast forward a couple months later.
A few months later, I am talking to somebody that I knew from college. I met him on Facebook and we had hung out and we had a little fling type shit. We were just hooking up and fucking. And we start talking again because obviously when I was with that toxic relationship, I was not allowed to have any males on my social media. So I start getting my hoes back, you know. I'm litty. I'm single. And then all of a sudden, love bombing, okay? You see the pattern? He's love bombing the fuck out of me. We're doing all types of things. He's cooking for me. He's buying me hotel rooms, buying me shit. You know, we're hanging out, spending quality time together, always on the phone, always on FaceTime, you know, just love bombing all the time. And I was like, no, like, I'm not ready for a relationship. I'm not ready for a relationship. Like, I'm still getting over this one. I don't know if I can trust you. He's like, no, like, I love you. Like, I dead ass love you.
And the crazy thing is, he tried to get you for years.
Exactly. And he was literally trying to get me forever before the first time we started fucking and, like, hooking up or whatever. So he's been trying to get with me. He's been obsessed with me for years. Since, like, 2018, 2019 type shit. So he's been trying to get with me. And so I'm finally like, you know what? Fuck it. I need somebody that's obsessed with me. This will be good for me. So I'm with him, and it's about an hour and 15, hour and a half drive. So I'm taking that fucking troop, because you know this motherfucker don't have a car. Red flag number 1, ladies and gentlemen. So this motherfucker doesn't have a car. And So I'm driving out to see him all the time, taking him to do shit with us. And he's already like, like he's acting like a good guy. He's acting like he's wanting to hang out with my friends, doing shit with us. And slowly but surely, like, planting the seeds in my head, you know what I mean? Like, I start finding out, like, people were talking about, like, oh, he's talking to other bitches, da da da. But I never had proof. Like, I never had actual proof. So I just, he was like, nah, they just hate and everybody hate on me. So, like, they obviously they don't want to see us together. They don't want to see us happy. And obviously, with no proof, I'm like, okay, you know what? Fuck it. Maybe they are. Maybe they are jealous. You know what I mean? So I'm not thinking nothing of it. All of a sudden, we're in the process to get our first apartment because my ex-best friend, remember Selena that we were talking about before, guys, I was living with her and her mom, and she moved in with her girlfriend out to a different state. So I ended up moving in. I'm with him and his mom. So I'm living with them, and all of a sudden his mom's like, oh, by the way, guys, I'm trying to find an assisted living situation, so you guys need to move out. All right, so I'm in the process of finding us an apartment. He is not searching at all. He's not helping at all. Again, another red flag that I overlooked. So he's not helping at all. I'm trying to find an apartment. And we find an apartment, and finally, the day before, we're all packed up. The day before we move into the apartment, I look through his phone and I find screenshots of him cheating on me. Actual proof this time. And I start hysterically crying to the point where it woke his mom up in the other fucking room. He's like, oh, babe, no, like, I'm sorry. That's why I want to get out of here because, like, I'm not going to be doing this when it's just you and I. Like, there's just too many triggers around here. And, like, running around this gaslighting bullshit, this narcissistic gaslighting bullshit, just running around, like, I really love you, like, I'm sorry, like, we're moving in together. And in my head, I'm like, bro, like, I just signed a lease, like, I'm literally in this apartment, I can't do it by my fucking self, like, we're supposed to be moving out here together, like, what in the hell am I gonna do? And I'm like, you know what, whatever, like, I don't want to deal with this, we're already in the process of moving in together, let's just fucking move on together, let's see how this fucking goes, it is what it is. I'm still blindly loving him, and I still think, like, he's obsessed with me, we're gonna work through it. Again, the stigma and what you're taught, you stick by your partner, you don't leave them, you stick through the situations and you try to make it work. So I try to make that shit work. About 1-2 tops months that we are in this apartment, a whole 180. He starts acting like an asshole, wanting to go out to the clubs and bars all the time, always wanting to spend time with his friends, doesn't even want to sleep in the same bed as me, sleeping on the couch or putting a mattress out in the living room to go sleep. Quit his job, living off of literally unemployment when the COVID checks started coming in and you weren't working, how they were giving people more money, literally living off of that. Would only spend that on weed, would barely ever smoke his shit with me, but would always smoke my shit. Never bought groceries. I bought all the groceries, and he ate like he was 4 people worth of food. So, ate up all the food. Like, it got to the point where I had a snack drawer, and I told him, do not fucking touch my snack drawer. And that is why I get so triggered when people eat my snacks. Because I've literally gotten to the point where I, like, hoard certain things that I like, keep it in a certain spot, and don't fucking touch it. It's my shit. Because I've had to literally do that with my shit, because he eats everything in the house. Literally, he had a house and home. And the only thing that he would do is he would take care of our dog, is he would walk him sometimes. But that was literally it. That's the only thing that he do. He didn't work. He didn't do anything. He didn't pay any bills. He didn't pay me back for any money he borrowed from me. He stole from me. He literally took my belongings, sold it on Facebook Market. Tried using my Facebook to scam people. Tried using me to scam people. Literally got me put in Facebook jail multiple times because of it. Constantly dragged my name on fucking Facebook. Would cheat on me constantly. Put his hands on me. Verbally abuse me, literally call me all types of names, and then sit there and tell me that he loved me and this is all I was gonna get, this is all I deserved, this was the best I was gonna get. And it got to the point where it planted a seed in my head that I believed him. Like, I got to the point where I thought that this was normal, this was a relationship, because my parents fought, so I just thought this was normal, this was just fighting. Because I never knew really what they fought about or how bad it was, but I knew that they fought, and every relationship has issues. And it got to the point where I was so high. I was so dissociative. I was dissociating all the time. I was having memory loss and memory lapses. Like I could literally not remember chunks of time and memories. My family or my friends would be like, "Hey, do you remember blah blah blah?" And it'd be like a few days ago or a week or a month ago, and I'd be like, "I have no recollection of this at all." Even situations that I've been in, I don't remember, or I only remember bits and pieces. There was one time where we got into a physical fight and he choked me out until I literally got tunnel vision, saw black, and I couldn't fucking breathe. And I don't even remember what caused that situation. He literally bought me a phone one time because I complained that he didn't get me anything or even celebrate with me any holiday. So he finally got me a phone for, it was either my birthday or Valentine's Day. This one time he ever got me anything. And he ended up smashing it with a hammer because I had a male coworker that I had messaged about the kids that we were watching together. And I had male and female coworkers, and we would talk about bringing the kids on field trips together and stuff like that. So I would message him about it or other people about it. And he got mad and jealous and said that I was flirting with him. And literally smashed my phone to the point where it blew up. It literally lit on fire.
Oh my God.
And constantly, all the time, people would be like, "Get out of that fuck relationship." Zaria begged me, my mom begged me, my dad begged me, other friends begged me, my sister begged me, everyone begged me, like, "Yo, like, you don't deserve that." And I was just so broken and so defeated that that is what I thought I deserved. That is what I thought I was gonna live with for the rest of my life. I didn't think anything was gonna get better. I thought that's how love is. So I stayed. And it got to the point where I was just sick of it. I didn't want to live this way anymore. I literally was like, I either want to die or I want to be free. And it took me so long to even decide which of those I wanted. It took me so long to get out of it. I ended up signing a whole nother lease and moving him into another apartment, which caused a whole situation where the cops were called and he started recording me. And I got so anxious and frustrated and mad at everything that I was going through, and for them to say he had squatters rights, I started throwing shit at him. I literally threw an ashtray at him. I tried so hard to get him the fuck out of the apartment. I was pushing him, da 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 da. He literally got a whole video and was airing me out on social media about it. But people don't understand. It gets to the point where they literally break you down until you turn fucking crazy. Until you act out. And that's what they fucking want. In public, in front of people, they act like the best version of themselves, a fake ass mask that they fucking put on.
Mm-hmm.
And then as soon as it's just you and them, they take that shit off and they're the real fucking person. That's a real personality. They show you who they really are. And it's fucking sad. And it got to the point where he was literally like stalking me. He literally had a copy of my key. He still had shit there. He hid shit in the basement. Again, he was stealing my shit and selling it. He would abuse and not take care of the dog and let him shit and piss all over. While the cops were there, he poured shit all over my mattress, like soda and juice, and the cops allowed him to destroy and steal my shit. While I'm sitting there in the hallway, bawling my fucking eyes out, yelling at the cops, letting them know he's taking my shit, he's destroying my shit. That is my fucking shit. I am the one with the lease. This lease is in my name. He doesn't live here. This is not his place. He was staying there so he could fucking save up to move, and that's where my mistake was, is I'm constantly nice. I'm constantly too nice. I am like a welcome mat. I cannot say no to people.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of just kicking him out right then and there, I allowed him to stay for a little bit so he can get it together, so he can get his own place, because that's the nice person I am. And that's where I fucked up. I need to stop being so nice. I need to stop being so naive. And that is the reason I don't trust. And it got to the point I had to get a restraining order on his ass.
Good.
And then he tried to sit there, and the same morning when we had court for the restraining order I put against him, he got one against me. And then the next time when we have court, he's like, "No, I just want to drop it. I want to be done with this shit." So I got a restraining order on him. It got approved for 2 years. And it's just, when you sit there and tell people like, "Oh, this is happening, da 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 da," people don't understand until they see the person's true colors.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know what people are capable of until you see that shit. You never know what somebody is capable of.
You never
could
know
be
what goes
with
on
somebody.
behind closed
Exactly.
doors.
You don't. Because on social media, you would never know.
Mm-hmm. Because social media, people share what they want other people to see, not what's really going on.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm sorry that men are trash.
Like, it even
and
got to the
have been
point
going through
where
this.
he used my car and would literally take it when he had no permission, and he would crash it all the time. My car needed thousands and thousands of dollars worth of work to even be able to get it to pass inspection. And I got to the point where I needed to re-register my car. My registration lapsed. So I had to get it all fucking fixed. And all this shit after he left. Like, people do not understand this, the damage and the debt that you are in afterwards. Like, I was literally living in an apartment that I couldn't afford because he wouldn't help me with the bills. We were supposed to go half and half. You know how long that happened? Maybe 2 months. 2 months and we go like half and half on the bills. So I'm literally $5,000 in debt just with a fucking apartment building because I couldn't afford to live there. Shit is crazy.
Well, I think we should wrap it up here.
I just want to say, after all that we've heard, I want to make it known that we are aware that men also do get abused and get raped and have this stuff happen to them as well. But for this podcast specifically, we're just sharing our story and our point of view as women and how men have treated us personally. But I just want to let you guys all know that we are aware that it's not one-sided gender-wise. And this does happen within the LGBTQIA plus community as well. It happens all around us, and most of the time we don't even know it. So be aware and watch out for each other. That's all I can really ask.
I just want to thank Alana for coming on our podcast and sharing her story with us. I really do appreciate it, and you were very brave and courageous for sharing your story with us here today.
And we really thank you
Yes.
for all your words that you had to say.
Thank you. Thank you guys very much for having me. I appreciate you guys. And thank you also, Maika, for sharing your story as well. You are also very brave for that.
Yes.
Oh, thank you.
All right. Well, I'm Zaria.
And I'm Maika.
And this is
Calming the Chaos.
Bye!
Later.